Hello, and welcome to a special bonus Christmas episode of Only Lovers Book Club. I don't know who planted the seed for the idea, but I feel like one of us, I feel like it was you, Drea, saw this book. Or actually, no, that's not true. We both independently saw this book and we're going to read it anyway. And then I think you approached me with doing a buddy read. And I said, you know what? Let's do it. And let's record ourselves talking about it. Everything is content. I've always wanted to do like little bonus episodes. So I figured, why not? Okay, so we read Santa's Favorite by Madeleine Taylor. It was on Talk About Swoon's like Christmas book roundup or something like that.
Yeah, it was specifically books to read if you want to fuck Santa kind of list. like it was specific because then the list was broken down on like, is it a real Santa or like a Santa actor? Because some people like specifically want one or the other.
So yeah, this one is definitely like Santa actor. And
Yes.
so yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about, Santa's Favorite.
Okay.
Santa's Favorite by Madeleine Taylor. I'm reading this off of the Goodreads page. Oh, this isn't first person. Oh shit. I'm Lucy, a law student with a part-time job as a personal shopper at Bergman's, an exclusive department store in New York. As Christmas is nearing, my employer has hired a Santa. I don't appreciate the way he keeps looking at me until I find out Santa is a woman.
You can't blame me because I'm muted.
I can't even see you. Like, my entire screen is just the.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm one of those people who doesn't like Christmas, and I have my reasons for that. But being in Santa's presence brings out the holiday spirit as well as the bad side in me. So much so that I soon find myself longing to be on Santa's naughty list. Ow! I read that.
Yes, that's exactly what I read.
That's exactly what I read too. All right. So it says Lisa Gold, or Lise Gold, is an author of sapphic romance. Her romantic attitude, enthusiasm for travel, and love for feel-good stories form the heartland of her writing. Born in London to a Norwegian mother and an English father, and growing up between the UK, Norway, Zambia, and the Netherlands, she feels pretty at home. She feels at home pretty much everywhere and has an unending curiosity for new destinations. She goes by Write What You Know and is often found in exotic locations, doing research or getting inspired for her next novel. I'm going to stop there because I feel like that's really interesting. Certain things in the book made me go, is this author white?
Yes, 100%.
I feel like you know what I'm talking about.
When she said, "I'm so glad I got my mom's exotic looks."
Exotic good looks. I went, okay.
Yes. But then I looked at the cover again and I was like,
Right, of course.
she doesn't
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't be able to tell you which of the two was supposed to be the exotic one.
Exactly. If you are interested in reading this and you don't want to get spoiled for all of the details, stop here, go and read it, and then come back and enjoy our discussion. All right, Drea, what did you think of Santa's Favorite? But I know that you had some
Okay.
struggles.
I did. I had some struggles because the minute I started it and I realized, first of all, I realized that the Santa was called Zelda. Zelda is Christina's dog and my goddaughter, who I love with all my heart and I would die for. And I think if it had been like a regular kind of closed door romance, it wouldn't have been an issue. But it's like within pages, they're talking about like very X-rated things that Zelda is doing, and I could not wrap my head around that. Like I kept picturing my sweet little goddaughter in my head, and I just could not do it. It was worse because it was a lesbian romance. There's like so much tongue and licking. So I had to like actively work to separate those images in my head. And I really want to say it took me until I was like 40% of the way through to finally be like, okay, this is not Zelda, my goddaughter. It was a struggle. I started and stopped many times.
You know, it's funny. I don't think I have read like since getting Zelda as my dog, aside from like Zelda games, I don't think I've read or like been really active with any media that has Zelda as a character. So I
Mhm.
was also like I read that and I closed the book. I went, "Okay, that's enough for me." And then I didn't reread it for the rest of the day because for the rest of the day I was like just separation of church and state, separation of book and dog. It was weird though. It was pretty weird.
Once I got past that, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is more erotic than romance, more like fleshed out sex scenes than any like character arcs or anything like that. And just like very neatly wrapped up, like happy ending kind of thing. My expectations were met in terms of like what I was expecting. I think there was a good ratio of Santa to non-Santa sex scenes, so there was
Mhm.
like it wasn't always her as Santa, but there was like more than one with her as Santa.
I did think that there was gonna be a lot of more like Santa-centric like fuckery. My expectation was that the main character was going to be like really turned on by the Santa Claus outfit on this woman. And so it wasn't that. And so I was kind of like, oh, but I mean, overall, it was still good because there was a lot of Santa fucking happening. What did you think of like their kind of like first interactions? It's kind of like what I kind of glommed onto a little bit at the beginning. I guess it's even described in the description of the book where it's like, oh, Lucy doesn't like the way that Santa's talking to her until she finds out that Santa's a woman. And I was like, huh, I'm a little conflicted about that, but I want to know what you thought about it.
I mean, here's the thing, like there's a lot of people like that in real life, right? Like they don't want someone catcalling them, but then if the person catcalling them is super hot, they might not like mind a lot. Like that's not how I feel about it, but I know that there are um people who do feel that way. And so it made sense for me that she would completely change her perception, um knowing that it was a woman versus a man. um for me, I would still be like, whoa. I didn't mind how forceful she was or like how direct she was like in her flirting. I just thought it was weird that it was happening at like their place of employment. It's like one thing to be that direct and forward and pushing boundaries when you're like out at a bar or something, but I don't know, that was the only thing where I was like, yeah,
Well,
like
like even for me, even if like it's our first time like chatting up in a bar and you're gonna cut like the second sentence out of your mouth is like, I would have fucked the shit out of you. I don't know. Like we just met.
it's kind of like a given in this book that anything that Zelda tries, Lucy is into, right?
Mhm.
But Zelda doesn't check a lot of the times whether or not Lucy's into before she tries things. And so I think this is one of those examples where like some people might get really turned on by that, might really like that very, very forceful approach. But she had no idea if Lucy was one of those people before she tried it. And I think like that happens a lot in this book where it's like, oh, they're perfect matches and like they both are like turned on by the same scenarios, but in like real life, that seems like a huge gamble to take, to talk to someone like that and just like fingers crossed they're into it too.
Lucy asked, "Do you flirt with all the women who walk past you?" And then it says, Santa looks around to make sure no one is listening and then turns back to me, her eyes burning into mine, only with the ones I'd like to fuck. I'm sorry. Real talk. Don't talk to anybody like this at your job. Don't ever fucking do this. Like it doesn't matter if they end up being the love of your life. Just don't do it. Try not to do that at work. Don't talk to anybody at work like this. And if anyone's talking to you like this at work, report their ass. This is not appropriate shit. We're assuming that yeah, Lucy's gonna like everything that Zelda does, and then we're just reading a Christmas erotic novella, so we're just gonna go with it. I do wish that the approach had been just a little less bumpy because I was like, please
Yeah,
calm
and
down.
I think part of it is I can tell that the author wanted us to feel like Zelda was kind of opening the doors to like Lucy's sexual liberation, bringing all
Mhm.
of these things into play that Lucy didn't know she was into, that she had never tried before. And part of that is Zelda having sort of a little bit more of a dominant personality. But I do think that there are ways you can express that just a little differently without, like you said, like before they even have sex, before they know each other. I just feel like there's ways that you can get that across
Yeah.
without sort of crossing so many boundaries when you don't know what
Yeah.
the person's boundaries are.
Exactly. And don't get it confused because like the book wants to make Zelda seem very sex positive, which she is, and then that's okay. But do not confuse being sex positive with overstepping people's boundaries. You can't be like, "Oh, I really want to fuck you," and then expect another person, like you don't know where the other person's coming from. Like they might also be sex positive, but this isn't a sex positive chat room. This isn't like Lex, like group, like sex positive group chat. This is like work.
So yeah, that's it. But like for me, I just kind of decided to suspend, all
Hmm.
disbelief
Yeah,
and
you
kind of
have to in order to
you
enjoy it.
have
The
to.
rest of it,
Yeah, yeah.
the rest of it was pretty enjoyable. I have to say, I really
Yeah, it
liked
was really just the
their.
beginning.
The rest of it was really good, and it was really hot. I mean, afterwards, right? They're like, then they fuck at work, but then it's like, okay, we have like this agreed, bond. I thought that okay, here's what I thought was gonna happen. They were gonna like hook up, but then it was gonna be like, it's just not the same, like not without the suit, And then so like one of their like go-to role plays, candy canes or something like that, or like a reindeer whip. I don't know, like that's what I was thinking. I thought that they were gonna go full on with the Santa Claus like role play. The
Yeah,
the
because
kinky Santa Claus role play.
here's the thing, like when Lucy agrees to have sex with Zelda and goes over to her apartment, at this point, she has never seen this woman. That she's only seen her as Santa. Like, so all
Mhm.
she's seen is like her eyes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's huge Santa bodysuit
Exactly.
with
So
like
I'm
the
thinking
belly, the beard, the hat. So like Lucy agrees to go over and hook up with this person, not having any idea. Like, and she's like, "Oh, I was attracted to the vibes." Like,
I seriously thought she was gonna show up to the apartment and then she was gonna see Zelda and be like, "Okay, you're hot, but like, where's your suit?" That's what I was kind of
mhm,
hoping for, and I'm okay with what we got. I'm okay. It was like a very down to earth, and I don't want to say it wasn't like spicy because it was very spicy, but I didn't go there into Santa kink the way that I thought it would, and so I'm gonna have to go back to talk about Swoon's list, and I'm gonna need to find like a sexier like Santa kink novella because I don't think that it's like I'm thirsty for it, but now that I have tried it and it didn't deliver, now I'm like, all right, now I want to read that.
yeah, I'm curious because I feel like the other like Santa novellas I've read have all been with like the real Santa.
Mhm,
And so I wonder if this is a thing when you read the ones where it's like a Santa actor, maybe it's just not as Santa centric because it's just a job for them. Whereas like if
mhm,
you're Santa, that is your whole being,
mhm,
So maybe we just need to. Here's the ring. I picked this one because it was sapphic. That I'd be like, if there had
mhm.
been a sapphic real Santa one, I would have picked that one, but that wasn't on the
Yeah,
list. So
Mrs. Claus waiting at home. Mrs. Claus taking up the mantle for Santa Claus one night. And like they're open. I don't know. But I definitely thought that this was gonna be like way more Santa King. And then I fell into an internet rabbit hole. Because then I'm like, okay, but like, is there like Santa King? And there is, like obviously there's like the fandom, Santa Con. But then there's some people who really find Santa Claus really fucking hot. Reasons why, right? Some people just like a well-traveled, well-seasoned man. And I can respect that. Some people like are really into like a snowy white beard, like in the naughty list. Um, some people like the fact that, he's a sugar daddy, right? And then Santa Claus is the ultimate sugar daddy. He's gonna take care of you.
you know what? And I don't think I had ever thought about it that way until you mentioned it. But that is the vibe I get. Like, have you seen online those like pictures of like that one guy who models as Santa? You know who I'm talking about?
Is he
Talk
like really
about Swoon, like
muscular?
reposts him all the time. Yeah. And he has
Yeah.
like the really like it's like a very rectangular beard. Like he
Mm-hmm.
looks like a sugar daddy. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Like he just wants to come home and take
I wish
care
we
of
could like
you.
can you like pop up a picture
Yes,
of
I'll
this
pop it up.
Santa guy? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because I feel like if people are listening, if people are watching this and they don't know what we're really talking about, if this is their first foray into like the world of Santa erotic novellas, then
Uh-huh.
maybe having that visual would help, and be like, oh yeah, if Santa looked like that, I would be into Santa too. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
might help. It might help gather some people into the Santa fold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and now that begs the question, like, where do you fall in the Santa like sexiness spectrum? We have both read like, right, the naughty list where it's like Santa Claus is the actual like doing the fuckery. And now with Santa's favorite, someone dressing up like Santa. Like what do you prefer? Like, what's your preference
Okay.
now?
I fall on team real Santa. And this is why. Not because I have some sort of fetish of like I want to be with the real Santa, but
Mhm.
because of the perks. Because real Santa has reindeer that I would get to pet and play with all the time. And real Santa lives in like the middle of nowhere, like cold blizzard. I mean, if you've been following me on any type of social media for a while, I always talk about running away to Alaska. And I know Santa doesn't live in Alaska, but it just goes to my
Close
point of
enough.
like I would like the lifestyle. I would like the things that come with it. The reindeer, the remote like cold place to live. Um and then I mean I like facial hair. So I mean a real beard is always gonna top a fake beard like any
Mhm.
day of the week. So
Mhm.
so that's why.
Gotcha. Uh, as for me, I fall under the impersonator. I mean, I have nothing against real Santa. I'm okay with either or, but if it's going to be a Santa impersonator, then the sexiness has to be Santa kink special. It can't be just I'm dressed as a Santa Claus and then I'm gonna take my clothes off and then have normie kink with you. I need you to like get a
Understood.
massive candy cane, put a condom over it, and then we're using that as your strap on. You know, that's what I
Gotcha.
mean, I don't feel like that's that much to ask. But I recognize the perks. I also don't like it to be cold. I don't want to be in the North Pole with Santa. So I think yeah,
But you
I
would come
rather go with
visit
the
me,
actual.
right? Like you
Of
would
course,
come
I would go
visit
visit
me.
you. But I think
Could
that
just
I
send
would
a
prefer an
slave for
actor.
you.
Uh-huh. Thank you so much. You're so considerate. I love it. I'll bring you coquito because I know how hard it is to get evaporated coconut milk up in the fucking North Pole. But yeah, so we will see you for our regular episode for a last hangout of 2022, right? That's the year we're in. So yeah,
Yes.
we will see you in a couple of days for so the Only Lovers official episode. Hope you enjoyed our bonus episode. I hope you're staying safe and staying warm, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging out with us. You can support Only Lovers Book Club by dropping some change in our tip jar and buying some books with our bookshop link. You can find us on Instagram at Only Lovers Book Club, and from there, find our individual accounts and projects. Feel free to favorite or rate us if that's an option for you, but always make sure to like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. It's right here, Kris. Cut the Wednesday stuff here.